Hey YouTube, it's Subvert out here with another Fern reaction video. Today we got ANØM, the most genius FBI operation. Let's get right into it, shall we? Hit it.
It's a quiet morning in an Australian suburb. The streets are still. The neighborhood sleeps soundly. In a few seconds, the silence will come to an abrupt end. Armed officers will storm through family homes. Flashlights will cut through the darkness, illuminating the startled faces of criminals violently ripped from their sleep. Scenes like these will happen all across the world. A global storm is coming down on organized crime. As the sun is rising from Asia to Europe and finally to the Americas, police in 16 countries will strike. They will raid drug labs, secret warehouses, and private residences. Around 9,000 police officers will make over 800 arrests. Nearly 40 tons of drugs, along with countless weapons and millions in cash and crypto, will be seized.
40 tons does... I mean, it seems like a lot, but you think there'd be more? Maybe it's just me. Okay.
Police search warrant!
Operation Trojan Shield.
This first-of-a-kind global
It's been the
operation.
biggest investigation and operation
Biggest
that the
criminal
AAP's
sting ever.
Entire organized crime rings will cease to exist from one minute to the next.
Okay.
It will be the final act of Operation Trojan Shield. The largest sting operation ever, orchestrated by the FBI and Europol.
Europe.
And at the heart of it all is this phone.
Oh, damn.
This video is partially based on the book Dark Wire by Joseph Cox. Cox is an investigative journalist. He went deep into the criminal underworld for his research. Due to the nature of some anonymous sources, we are unable to verify all the information independently. We highly recommend checking out the book.
I have a cargo ship with captain on side too. They want to throw over load as they leave.
When can we start?
I have a job ready as tomorrow to pick up. It's already here.
This is a real conversation between two drug traffickers, sent via an encrypted phone. Encrypted phones are very special devices. They often lack functions like camera and GPS and are designed to enable more privacy. People use these phones when they don't want to be tracked. Politicians, military, corporations, a wide range of people use privacy-focused devices. The market for these phones is massive. For obvious reasons, they are also very appealing to criminals. Encrypted phones are often modified consumer phones with additional privacy tools. Sky ECC, EncroChat, and Phantom Secure, to name a few, were big players in the crime world. Secure phones like these don't come cheap. Phantom Secure, for example, charged up to $2,000 for a 6-month subscription. This is the price you pay for absolute privacy. Some of these phones come with a very handy feature.
So, he picked up the load, and I think he's been arrested and in need. There's a lot of evidence and f***ing shit on my BlackBerry. Yeah, I need that evidence gone, ASAP.
1 sec.
But the thing is, cops can't access it, right?
They can't even access that anyways, yeah?
If a phone is ever compromised, a remote wipe command known as kill switch can be activated. This kill switch wipes all the data from the phone, making it completely useless. For law enforcement, this is a nightmare. Even if police manage to seize one of these devices, all potential evidence can be destroyed, remotely. Over the past few years, law enforcement has aggressively cracked down on encrypted phone companies. One by one, companies like Phantom Secure and Sky ECC were shut down, leaving behind a massive vacuum. As in any industry, a vacuum presents an opportunity.
That's insane. But I mean, I think there were similar cases for this one, but I think with like the iPhones as well. I think after the recent update, if an iPhone doesn't detect that, you've unlocked the phone or the owner of the phone hasn't unlocked the phone for a fixed period of time, it does something like a lockdown mode. It just shuts itself down, but also locks itself so that I think, like, unless you have a specific passcode or key code, you can't unlock the device. So it just, for no reason, the iPhone could just be doing its own thing and then just shut itself down, like after a few days, which is crazy. Like, even on Android, you've had like options for like remotely unlocking or remotely, like, deleting stuff on the phone forever. And I think even for the iPhone, I think with Find My, you could do the same thing. But regardless, having phones that just even more secure with a kill switch kind of seems like a necessity in the modern day. Like, bro, privacy is a joke with most like tech companies either way. The whole idea being if anything is free and you use it, generally speaking, You're the product.
And one man seeks to seize it. It is 2018. A rather dodgy businessman has an idea. He goes by the name Afgu. Afgu is an expert when it comes to encrypted phones, selling phantom secure devices to criminals. He's a bit of a geek, though not much of a coder. Previously, Afgu worked alongside one of Australia's most notorious drug traffickers, Hackerman. Known as the Facebook gangster for publicly documenting his criminal lifestyle online, Ayak is deeply connected in the underworld.
Damn.
Observing the gap left by all those encrypted phone companies going down, Afgu hatches a plan. He wants to launch the next big encrypted phone, ANØM. ANØM devices are essentially off-the-shelf Google Pixel phones, modified to run a custom operating system called Arcane OS. This is where it gets interesting. At first glance, it looks like any other phone. It has apps like Tinder, Netflix, and Spotify, but when you tap them, nothing happens. They're just dummies. ANØM phones come with several special features. One of them is pin scrambling. It randomly shuffles the numbers on the keypad.
To be fair, a lot of custom OSs have had that for a long time, but okay, sure.
Making it difficult for anyone nearby to figure out your passcode.
Sure.
The real magic is unlocked when you enter a different pin. When you unlock the phone this way, you only see these three apps: settings, the clock, and a calculator. The calculator works just like a normal one, but if you enter a special code, the heart of the device reveals itself: the ANØM messenger.
The thing is, there have been cool ones where you have calculators with like these hidden features for a while, and it used to be back in the day when you used to, root and modify your devices. You used to have apps like these, but having a genuine operating system hidden behind a calculator is new. I will give it props. Fair enough.
It allows you to chat with an ANØM user anonymously. In case things go south, the phone also has a kill switch.
Okay.
ANØM will soon become a thriving tech startup for organized crime, and Afgu will become its CEO. But his true plan goes far beyond that. This story is about a brilliant sting operation, but it's...
I get this call from this lawyer I've never heard of, and who basically said, I want to meet you tomorrow.
This is Andrew Young. He works for the Department of Justice in San Diego, California. Young and his team are meeting the mysterious attorney. His client, none other than Afgu.
Okay.
Turns out the lawyer reached out to broker a deal. Afgu is offering his product, ANØM, to the FBI. The offer: Afgu will build the next generation of privacy phones, and law enforcement will have total access. A hidden back door. The ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card for Afgu, in case he ever needed one. His personal intentions for that are not clear. Presumably, there's already a lot of dirt on them. Afgu's attorney pitches the phone to the authorities like a Silicon Valley tech demo. Andrew Young and his team quickly realize this could be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. What could be more valuable than having control over thousands of devices designed for criminals? Young and the FBI agree to work with Afgu.
Okay.
But many questions remain unanswered. How should the backdoor be implemented in ANØM? And how do you get criminals to start using the phones? And there is, of course, another major problem.
Right.
Without evidence of a crime, spying on phones inside the US is illegal.
Right.
Young is concerned the operation might not get approved by the Department of Justice.
Well...
So the FBI reaches out to Australian law enforcement instead, and they seem to be stoked by the idea. With the help from the Australian Federal Police,
Okay.
AFP, the first ANØM phones can hit the black market in Australia. The trap is set.
Huh. That is so sick.
Months go by as Afgu builds his company. The FBI remains hidden in the shadows. He hires coders.
you gotta understand, like, just how complicated this sounds. But the fact of the matter is, if you have Facebook or Instagram or like any major like social media, like app installed on your phone, more than likely it's harvesting your data without you knowing much about it. In fact, it's getting a lot of identifiers about you, where you are, what you're traveling, who you're meeting, which restaurants you go to, number of steps you take per day. Would not be surprised if it even has some of your biometrics, right? So knowing that like entire marketing firms can basically harvest your data and then tailor specific ads for you, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's not like the biggest leap to imagine the FBI looking at it and saying, you know what? Yeah, let's do the same thing, but for criminals. You feel me? That just feels like a logical step in that direction. Sure.
From around the globe. they all work from home, completely unaware of their real employer. As CEO, AFGU collaborates closely with law enforcement. They soon manage to implement a backdoor that allows the Australian police to gather intelligence from ANØM phones. The FBI is still left out. The mechanism is straightforward. When a user sends a message to another user, that message is silently copied and redirected to a third location, controlled by the authorities. The users will not notice a thing. Now, ANØM just needs users. The strategy is to rely on word of mouth, just like any other product in the criminal underworld. AFGU starts handing out ANØM phones to Australian criminals for free. They in turn tell others of the device, and so on and so forth. After a series of tests, the moment of truth arrives. An Australian AFP officer stares at his screen in anticipation. He can hardly believe his eyes when the first intercepted message appears. All the hard work has finally paid off. It's 2019. ANØM has several hundred users. Demand is skyrocketing, and deliveries are spreading all over the country. Drug traffickers, Italian mobsters, and bike gangs, all of them are using ANØM to discuss business. Meanwhile, the AFP is meticulously monitoring every message, gaining invaluable insights into criminal operations. But the FBI is still not allowed to read the messages. Young needs approval from higher ranks. After a lot of meetings and persuasion, he finally gets what he wants. His approach is somewhat dubious, though. Running servers with intercepted messages on US soil is prohibited, and Australia is legally not allowed to share their intelligence. The FBI needs another country to host the operation and pass on the information to them. Young reaches out to members of the EU, searching for a willing partner to help. Finally, Lithuania volunteers to host the FBI servers. Let's put a pin into these legal shenanigans for a moment, though. For now, Operation Trojan Shield can finally kick into high gear. This is Swedish drug trafficker Maximilian Rivkin. His nickname is Microsoft. He has scars on his knees and fingers. His right arm shows a tattoo with 3 monkeys. Don't see, don't speak, don't listen. Microsoft runs a meth lab in Sweden and is well.
Okay, wait, hold on. There's no way you can basically call him that and then not have like a, a defamation case against you for being that your nickname. You feel me? That is just insane.
Don't speak, don't listen. Microsoft runs a meth lab in Sweden and is well connected in the country's underbelly. He uses EncroChat to communicate with his accomplices. In the summer of 2020, Microsoft receives a weird message. In fact, every EncroChat user receives this message at that very moment. Law enforcement in Europe is cracking down on the encrypted phone company. Microsoft is screwed and urgently needs a new, safer way to conduct his business. So he travels to Istanbul. Here he meets Hakan Ayak, the infamous Facebook gangster. Ayak is working on expanding ANØM's reach and sees enormous potential in the company. The meeting leads to a new business partnership. Both men are convinced that ANØM is the future of encrypted communication for criminals. Together, they set a goal: push ANØM globally and become its biggest resellers. Back in Sweden, Microsoft wasted no time. He begins recruiting a network of people to help distribute ANØM phones across the country. With the downfall of EncroChat, ANØM grows at insane speeds. But users are skeptical. After the recent crackdown, everyone is extremely cautious. Trusting this new phone company is a huge risk. To build credibility, Microsoft tells others that ANØM's founder is on the run from the FBI. If even the FBI can't crack the platform, they all should be safe. In a fairly foolish display of trust, he even sends photos of his own Swedish ID card.
Okay, no, hold on a second. That's what? Why? Why would you?
Over ANØM to reassure his contacts. Meanwhile, law enforcement is watching the whole drama from a distance. FBI agents are analyzing all the messages, including those from Microsoft. Everything is unfolding just as planned. ANØM spreads autonomously and self-propelled within the criminal underworld. But one day, an officer reads a series of very concerning messages. Apparently, Microsoft is planning to murder a former cafe owner in Stockholm. Convinced that the man owes him $800,000, Microsoft hires a hitman. In a group chat, the hitman suggests to disguise himself as a delivery driver, approach the target's door, and take him out on the spot. Microsoft loves this. At this point, the Swedish police realize the threat is about to become real. The police has no choice but to warn the target.
See, the thing is, I understand the ethics of this, and obviously you want to... The human instinct is always going to be warn the person that's going to get whacked. Understandable. But at the same time, this is literally the same issue I think the British faced when they cracked... what was the code again? Enigma, right, from World War II. Right. The reason being is if you crack, like, say, an uncrackable code, and I think if you watch the movie, right, it's explained really well. You need to know what moves you can make so that people don't know you've cracked the code, while also, like, minimizing the moves so people don't know you can see, like, you know what they're doing, while also still tweaking, like, the overall effect so that you still win the war in the end, right? So if they do something stupid as stopping every single attack that you can read through ANØM, eventually people are going to figure out, well, if they knew how to stop that attack, clearly this system is cracked, and then, people are watching us. They're going to dip the phones, you feel me? So this is honestly, I'm not sure if that was the best move, but it is what it is.
The assassination fails. ANØM is never mentioned as a source.
Okay, so to be fair, they got insanely lucky, but that was still a bad move, but sure.
It's 2021. ANØM has spread at a phenomenal rate. With around 12,000 users and millions of messages sent in 45 different languages, the sheer volume of data has become overwhelming. FBI agents are sifting through countless messages from all over the world, ranging from drug deals and murder-for-hire schemes to money laundering operations, and even the occasional...
I keep forgetting. This is like 2007, 2008. This is like, what, the iPhone era? So, I mean, I'm guessing they don't have, like, massive, like, what, server racks to, like, digitally catalog everything everyone says. And they have, like, one search bar to be able to pick out what word this person at this time said. Okay, which is probably what they're doing right now, allegedly. But, yeah, I guess back then without sufficient computing power, fair enough.
Solicited pick. When lives are at risk, the police are forced to intervene. ANØM, however, can never be named as a source during fieldwork.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so they aren't taking the Enigma approach. They're taking the, if people's life at risk, stop them. I think that's respectable for sure. But you also don't want to reveal the whole operation in its entirety. That's interesting.
Or the entire operation would be exposed.
Right.
The secrecy of the operation is paramount. With every new user, this problem multiplies. Eventually, the flood of intelligence becomes too much to process. At the same time, Lithuania's court order is coming to an end.
Ooh.
Without Lithuania, where the ANØM servers are running, the FBI cannot spy on people anymore. After 4 years...
No, the sentence is, the FBI cannot collect enough evidence on criminals conducting criminal activities. That's what the sentence should be. This isn't spying on people, this is spying on criminals.
ANØM servers are running. The FBI cannot spy on people anymore. After 4 years,
I feel like that's an iffy sentence, but fair enough. And you can make the sentence allegedly, but let's be real. Illegal, right? Fair enough.
Trojan shield needs to end.
Although I am curious, I mean, with the evidence that they have, couldn't they then still go and get a court order in the United States saying that, well, we have enough evidence to say that they are criminals, so we need the court order to process the information in the United States? Wouldn't that still be possible?
It sends shockwaves through global organized crime.
Operation Trojan Shield.
Global operation.
Biggest investigation and operation.
Biggest criminal sting ever.
ANØM users all around the world are waking up to a nightmare.
Right? Yeah.
Heavily armed law enforcement enters their home, somehow fully and thoroughly aware of all their illegal dealings. Later that day, the FBI comes out publicly and reveals the secret behind ANØM.
For the first time, the FBI developed and operated its own hardened encrypted device company called ANØM.
Law enforcement agencies across the globe celebrate their unprecedented victory.
This investigation, called Operation Trojan Shield, shined a light into the shadowy industry of hardened encrypted devices.
This is a watershed moment in Australian law enforcement history.
Operation Trojan Shield results in hundreds of arrests, the dismantling of major criminal networks, and the seizure of enormous quantities of drugs, weapons, and illicit funds.
Right.
The evidence seized by the police is staggering. It feels like the ultimate triumph against organized crime.
Well...
It certainly is the biggest sting operation in FBI history, probably in all of history. But as the dust settles, a harsh reality begins to emerge. This mission, hailed as a success, could potentially turn into a massive failure.
Huh?
To this day, over 27 million ANØM messages have been collected. Based on this intelligence, over 800 arrests have been made. But experts are growing increasingly skeptical about whether ANØM's chats will be admissible in court.
What?
That's because the evidence may have been obtained through potentially illegal means. A German court has already set a precedent, ruling that ANØM chats cannot be used as evidence in trials because
that is crazy. Huh?
they could not be physically linked to the suspects. In the case of 3 drug traffickers arrested in Germany, the court only approved physical evidence for trial, dismissing the encrypted messages gathered from ANØM. In Australia, legal uncertainty has already delayed a major trial, with the court grappling over whether the data collected through ANØM's backdoor can be used to convict suspects. If courts worldwide continue to reject the ANØM chat evidence, hundreds of cases could be thrown into jeopardy. Criminals who are caught red-handed through these communications could potentially walk free, despite their obvious involvement in serious crimes. Other courts declared ANØM's messages as lawfully obtained. Trials will likely go through higher instances in many cases, dragging on for years.
Damn.
It's unclear how many ANØM users will ultimately be convicted. While official press releases praise the number of murders supposedly prevented, there's a troubling silence regarding those that were not. According to Joseph Cox, at least one assassination of a Swedish man was meticulously planned in ANØM chats and executed while authorities observed in real time. As these cases become mired in legal limbo, an uncomfortable question arises. Was Operation Trojan Shield actually worth it? If key evidence is dismissed and trials are delayed or overturned, the operation's long-term impact may be far smaller than law enforcement had hoped. And there's another dilemma here, one that affects us all. It's about privacy.
Right. Because by that same logical extension of thought, if this was legal, then it sets the precedent that, well, we should be able to watch everyone's phones so that if anyone makes a threat against anyone else, we need to be there and stop it so that you can never premeditate something bad ever again. And if you ever even think about doing something bad, we're going to stop you before you even think about acting about it, is a clear invasion of privacy. I can see the German approach of they have the individual right to privacy, but at the same time, when that right to privacy overwhelms someone else's right to live securely and have a fair economy, you're going to have those fundamental freedoms clash against each other. So I think you're going to have to set the legal precedent of, do you prefer security or privacy? And I think the unfortunate truth is, in an ideal case, you don't want to argue against either of them, but the reality is you're going to have to regardless, so you get to pick which one you prefer.
Today, almost every popular messenger is end-to-end encrypted. Preserving privacy is essential.
There is no way. Here's the thing, right? Almost every messenger is end-to-end encrypted, agreed, but it's one of those things where there's a reason why Telegram remains one of those messengers that governments really want to get access to. So much so the founder was held back in France, I think recently, on there's news articles about this. I don't see that happening for a lot of other major conglomerates. So I'm going to go on a whim to say that, Telegram might be the last true secure messenger. I'm allowed to say it. I'm not paid to say it. Not even a disclaimer. I think that's just my personal opinion.
It's a basic right. Encryption technology is not just for criminals.
Right.
Journalists, human rights activists, and dissidents from authoritarian regimes rely on encrypted messaging.
It's true, because I think not even recently, when Apple had the whole, not only Apple, I think a lot of companies had the Pegasus attacks going on. You had Apple devices later down, giving up warnings of we believe a state-sponsored actor is trying to gain access to this device. So you either have to enter, I think the iPhones have an option for it. I think it's a lockdown mode where you click it and your phone basically just cuts off unnecessary features and locks down everything, all the information on the phone securely. You feel me? That is, it's a shame that we're living in a world where that seems to be the case. But clearly, when certain governments don't want you talking about certain things, they're going to have unlimited resources to stop you from talking about those certain things. You feel me? The rights and freedoms of everyone in today's world is being tested, straight up.
Privacy concerns all of us, Data abuse can affect anybody.
Right.
You might instinctively want to respond that you have nothing to hide. Even if that were true, what if you lived in a totalitarian state
Right.
rather than a liberal democracy? Would that stance still hold?
Yeah. That's true. I mean, that's a... It's an interesting argument to make, and I think it's one of those videos that make you like really, question the extent of privacy that's available in the modern world. Like, it's not even like as a joke. Like, you don't be surprised when you have smart TVs that spy on you, or like devices that basically like, snoop on whatever you're doing. You feel me? It's just, the more electronic devices you have around you, it's never truly secure. It's never truly like, because if there was money to be made by ensuring your privacy, people would do it 100%. But the fact is, there's more money to be made violating people's privacy, and so that's just the status quo that's accepted, and that should never be the case. But it's fine. It's where we find ourselves in. You feel me? But that's about it. Yeah. Damn. This is a partially depressing video, but what do you guys think about it? Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you beautiful bastards in the next one. Peace. Take care. Nice.